Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about yourself
Thank you.
and,
Yeah,
has this affected the way
yeah,
you
yeah.
do things in your family?
Thank you. So, yeah, I live with my wife and our three boys in Columbus, Ohio. And yeah, I'm a pastor at St. Luke Lutheran Church in Gahanna. I've been a Lutheran pastor for 22 years, serving in Columbus for 18 of those years, and 4 years when I first started down in Southeast Ohio
Oh,
with two great churches. So every church I've been able to be part of and the people there, um, they're just part of my heart. And so I'm just so grateful for the people I've been able to know and to learn with, and they've had patience with me as I've grown as a pastor. So I'm really grateful for all the churches I've been able to serve people. So I'm that, and then I'm also a leadership and influence coach. I'm a certified Keller influence coach by Karen Keller, and she does the Keller Influence Indicator, and she's done yeoman work in the world of influence and how to be more influential as a person, as a leader, and then certified as a leadership coach as well with Erickson Coaching International. And I'm just so grateful that I can serve, in particular, I serve pastors as a coach, but not exclusively so. I've had clients from different walks of life as well. But bottom line is people that just want to delve into their influence and be more influential. How's this affected me? It's kept us at home. But there's been so many positives that's brought out of it. I mean, it's limited with that limitation has caused growth in other areas. I mean, I think it's helped our family grow together in a really great way.
awesome.
It's slowed me down to go deeper in some other parts of my spiritual life that I hadn't anticipated before this. And then I've just taken this time to get really focused deeper on my health and my physical being, how the being that God gave to me, as I'm able to take care of. So yeah, I mean, we had a little bit of scare as COVID. There was a person that it was a presumptive diagnosis of somebody I came in contact with that put us into self-quarantine as a house, as a family for 2 weeks. But it turned out to be negative and it was all good. So otherwise we've been all healthy and good.
Oh,
So
that's wonderful.
yeah, yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, good, good. And I forgot to mention, so we know how I met Mike was from an organization we're both networking called H7 Network. And you were actually the leader of Root, which
Yeah.
is a faith-based um, business group. And I thought, I'm always, God is very intricate in what I'm doing in my business and why I'm doing this and everything. And so that was right up my alley. So I thought I got to check this out. And maybe I don't know if I've been in it for a year and a half or I don't know how long, at least a year.
Yeah.
And now I'm leading it. So
Mhm.
with all the changes you had last year, you're like, I just would
Yeah.
rather, be a
Take the boy.
participant. Yeah, so I thought, yep, let's do this. So that has been a wonderful group too, and I was just really glad to meet you and all the other people in the group. It's been so supportive, so
Yeah.
supportive. So yeah, I don't even know this. I was wondering, could you tell us how did you get started? Like, what made you want to be a pastor? How did you get started in that? And then how did the coaching develop? Because it's such a unique combination.
Yeah. So basically, it was my call to become a pastor was in 1992, I think it was 92. Basically, in a nutshell, I was in college, wondering what I should do with my life. Was in education to be a social studies teacher for high school kids. I always loved history. I ended up graduating with a history degree from the university. But at some point in that time, I thought, this is not for me. I don't want to do this. I love teaching. I love history. I don't want to teach kids. I don't want to teach high school kids this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just this discontent in my gut.
Yeah.
So long story short, I started praying about it and asking God, okay, what do you want from me? I was involved in a parachurch group on campus called University Christian Fellowship, which was very formative to my faith. I became a leader in that group, song leader, but also the chapter leader. And so it was so cool because they just empowered me to lead. And with the staff person just was a great mentor, might still is to this very day.
Yeah, that's great.
So this is before I thought about becoming a pastor. And I remember thinking at one point, my high school pastor said to me one time, you should think about going to seminary. And I said, there's just no way. Like, that's not even on the list of things I would ever do. Because I don't even know what a pastor did. I literally didn't know they did. Besides show up on Sunday morning and do their thing.
Right.
And lead us in worship. I didn't know. So I was praying about it. I saw a flyer for Trinity Lutheran Seminary, at a Lutheran church in Oxford. I went to Miami, Ohio. And it said, visit Trinity Seminary for prospective students. I'm like, whatever, so I'll go. I went to the weekend thinking maybe, I don't know, I was open for anything. Nothing happened. It was in September of that year. I drove back to Oxford and I said out loud to God when I was pumping gas along I-70, I said, God, that was a waste of my time. I said, I could have spent so many other things doing that weekend with my friends. And instead I drove to Columbus to spend time at a seminary. This is ridiculous. That was dumb.
Right.
I got my car. The gas station's still there. When I pass it, I remember that conversation or that monologue, my complaint. A month later, it was the last Sunday of October, I was in the men's glee club, 100 men who sang on a regular basis at Miami, and we had regular concerts at different places. That Sunday morning in particular, we were scheduled to sing at a Lutheran church in Hamilton, Ohio. It was either Hamilton or Middletown, one of those two towns. Anyway, it was Reformation Sunday. And we left. We had to go to the early service, but like 8 o'clock in the morning, which means we had to leave Oxford like at 6 to get there in time. If you know college guys, at 6 o'clock on Sunday morning, nobody's awake.
No.
So we've been up most of the night. If we went to bed. And so we get on the school bus. We're leaving Oxford, Ohio, on the school bus, going down near Cookfield. If anybody knows what Oxford, Ohio, and Cookfield were Miami University. I was looking out the window at Cookfield as we're leaving town, and God said to me, you need to go to seminary. And as clear as any, it was like a whisper. I knew it was God's voice.
Mm-hmm.
At least I thought it was. I looked around, and everybody was about sleeping. And there was nobody else talking. I said, okay, God. And I closed my eyes and said, if that's you, you need to make that crystal clear. Because I kind of put that out of my mind a month ago.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, this is what you need to do. And tears filled my eyes. And I left that bus and we got to that church. I pulled a friend of mine aside and I said, dude, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to seminary. He goes, where are you? What? What's a cemetery? I said, no, seminary. I'm going to seminary. I'm going to pastor. He's like, okay, that's cool, man. He gives me a high five and that's it. I mean, all right. And I still didn't know what pastors did. I didn't even know what it really kind of meant.
Right.
But I just know that's the direction God wanted me to go. And so I got out of education department, switched it to just a history degree, graduated, applied to seminaries, and went to Luther Seminary in St. Paul, Minnesota, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. So it was crystal clear. This is what God wants me to do. Mm-hmm. Later on, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I had this itch in my vocation, okay, God, now what do you want me to do? There was this kind of discontent. Mm-hmm. I'm fine with being a pastor. It's not a big deal, right? I mean, I'm accomplished in this. I've served for a long time. But is there something else? Mm-hmm. And so I hired my own coach, a friend of mine who's a pastor, and I said, Tyus, would you coach me around this discernment? He goes, yeah, of course. So we spent 6 months together, probably 8 months, looking at all the areas of my life, just really unpacking and putting back together pieces of my life. And then with the question, God, what do you want now?
That's always
Because
good to ask.
I kept praying through this whole thing. What's the best way, God, I can be best? What's the best way I can use my gifts? I don't want the good way. I don't want that. Be kind of nice. No, I want the literally best way now. So all these things were on the table. It boiled down to become a coach. And that it's a calling within a calling for me.
Right.
It is a crystal clear calling, as much as that crystal clear calling happened in 1992. And so I said, this is the direction I'm headed. And it fits because, as a pastor, I've sat with a lot of people over the years, one-on-one, a lot of one-on-one conversations, a lot about life, about situations, about one-on-one conversations with pastors and parishioners. But what coaching has given me is the tools by which I can help a conversation move towards solutions, as opposed to just sometimes we just dwell on the problem. It's almost like a cul-de-sac. We just kind of dwell.
True.
What are we going to do about it?
Right.
Well, the coaching's help people go, okay, here's what we can do about it. I'm not going to tell a person what to do. They figure it out themselves.
Exactly.
I'm holding the space, asking the next right question, and we find a solution together. So it's brilliant that way. I love that part of coaching. I love coaching. I mean, it's how God's designed me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Pretty fun.
I didn't know. Yeah, I thought of, I was thinking of some questions, and I thought, I don't know how all this got started. I never, we never talked about it in the group or anything. So thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I've been in some of your, well, I was in one of your conversations with, talking about visualization.
Yeah.
With the sports team. That was really cool. And I've done that before with clients too. I think visualizing your future is really important. Like you say, don't get stuck in where you're at, but how can we take that and move forward in a positive way? So visualization, that was a fun session to sit in on. And you also do improv.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. Let's add another thing to the plate.
Another thing. And so I was in a couple of those classes, and I have to say they were so much fun when I really took a few minutes, but when I really let myself just kind of forget that I was an adult, I had so much fun. Like my inner child started to come out, and I was able to be goofy again and laugh.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot of fun. And how long have you been in that area?
In that world, improv world, it's been since 2004. And improv is, it's like magic to me. It's like because nothing happens, and also then we create something that wasn't there. That's the magic, right? And it's fun. It's play. It's creativity. It's being in the moment. It's being spontaneous. It's being connected to one another. And it was fun to teach, Lori, when you were there. It's fun that you were part of it. And yeah, I mean, you just step into the moment and let yourself go and rediscover that little part of us that simply wants to play. No matter how old we are, we just want to play.
Right.
And enjoy and laugh together. And so yeah, improv was. I think I've been realizing when I first started my improv class in 2004, when I went to a class, and ever since then, I realized I've been doing this all my life. Improv, just been part of my being. And what's happened is now, as a coach, basically improv has served me as a coach because every coaching conversation is improvised.
It is, isn't it? It's personalized for that person.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So I don't know what we're going to talk about. That person does, but it's the beginning of a conversation. But we're eventually going to create something later, as we're throughout that hour co-create something. And I just pull in all my improv skills and say, be very, very present, listen deeply, notice things more, and then move it forward one moment at a time. And that's it. And what happens is, whoa, things happen. Just like improv on stage, in a class, and it's just fun. It's super, super fun.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I think also in the improv class that I was in, um, when you would ask us questions and we had to go around a circle and feed off each other,
Yeah.
it was interesting how someone else's creativity would trigger something in me that I haven't maybe thought about in 30 years, and it came up
That's
and
nice.
led me to be kind of goofy in a situation, and
Yep.
so that
Yep.
was really neat. We fed off each other too.
That's great. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I love about it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And also, as I wanted a pastor on here as well. This is such a different, that you kind of switching gears here, but this is such a
Mhm.
different situation that we're facing.
Mhm.
I don't. Do you have any uh, words of wisdom or little things we can take away from this? As far as maybe as God is concerned, and um, how to help us maybe re-engage with our faith, or find something to cling on to.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think about God that this is brand new for us, but this is not new for God. And there's been other situations in our world where people of faith in Christ have dealt with situations like this.
Oh my gosh. Think of,
And
World War I and II and all
yeah,
kinds of things going on. Yeah.
the pandemics, well, the flu 1918, and so on and so forth. So, as well as others in the Roman world, that there were multiple pandemics that Christians and non-Christians had to respond to. They were all met together, and so it makes me go, okay, there's perspective here. This is new for me. It's not new for all of us. World history. It's not new for God. And while there's a lot of uncertainty, God is very certain. I was reminded over this time of the story Jesus told of the building a house on the rock versus a house on sand. And the beautiful thing about that story, there's a lot of things about that story that I love about Jesus telling that story, is the storm affected everybody. It was the same storm. It just where the people found their foundation was different. And the foundation of God's word, God's truth, who God is, God's nature, God's being, is a solid place to stand. And it gives me firm foundation to stand on in the midst of all the changes that are happening all around me, and in the certain uncertainty of what's going to be next week, next few months, or whatever that's going to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that has helped me a lot, diving deeper into my foundations. And improv has helped me deal with this uncertainty as well, because improv is about uncertainty
It
and
is.
stepping
Yeah.
into a moment, trusting I have what I need in that moment. And I say that I'm going to connect the dots between improv and God, because I believe, as I've studied improv and I've taught it, performed it, so on and so forth, God is an improv God. That God, if you look at the entire scriptures, God certainly has a overarching plan for all of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And God is so present with us in the moments of our lives. And God's creating and co-creating with us moments and days ahead. If you look at the life of Jesus, Jesus is always interrupted by something, and he responds in that moment with grace and truth.
You're right.
And he responds powerfully. But it's as if he doesn't know what's going to happen. Something just happens, and he goes, "Oh, okay, this." And then, yes, this happened, and let's move it forward in a positive direction.
Yeah.
And this beautiful improvised way that God has, if that's the way God is, as part of his nature, as a part of it, that can help me in my life, because God's with me.
Mm-hmm.
God's never not with me. So how can God and I move forward together as I stand on the foundation of my faith? That's helped me a lot through this. And not feel, there's a respect and of the concern of this virus, of course. I'm not naive.
Right.
But I'm not going to let it dictate my today.
Yeah. That's so
right?
good.
God's the one who does that. So
Right. Right.
yeah,
And go to him for comfort too. You reminded me of, the woman with the issue of blood who
yeah,
said, "Oh my gosh, I know Jesus is going to be in my town, and I am going to see him. I don't care what it takes." And she just, if I touch the hem of his garment, I'll be healed. And she went for it. And he, he's always like, he's on his way to do something, and usually he's stopped, or he sees, is it Zacharias in the tree, or what,
hmm
whatever. He's usually interrupted, and he talk about power. So she just touched the hem of his garment, and he stops and he says, "What just, I felt the power go out, go from me. What just happened?" And so he paused and he blessed her, and she is healed, and he's
yeah,
doing like that all the time. And
good.
I watched, really for the first time, I watched Son of God. I actually just ran across it on TV last night. Oh, and I've never watched The Passion or that before, because it's just hard for me to watch what he went through. But I know he went through it for us and for me and for you and for everybody. Um, but uh, you know, it was just amazing, the love that he had for everybody, even people that betrayed him. He stopped and he paused and just had so much grace for them. So
This
I
is
never thought
overwhelming
about
grace. Yeah,
God, Jesus being an improv, in improv. I love that.
yeah, yeah,
That's so awesome. Well, that's very good. Now, the other reason, Mike has a wonderful video series that he does, and what I love about them, they're like, I don't know, 3.5 minutes long. They're quick, and they are so positive and make you think. And I wrote down a few topics. Like, I think your current one is taking the next 10 days to compliment somebody.
yeah.
If you're at the grocery store, or a comment on Facebook, or however you do it now. Another one was, who are you becoming in this time? And the one I told you earlier that helped me today, this is my first one. I'm used to being interviewed. I've not interviewed a ton of people yet. And so I was a little nervous. And one of the videos I saw was how to become influential on video. And your whole angle, I guess, on it was, it's not about you. It's about who
Yeah,
you're serving. Take the pressure off. It's not about you.
right.
So,
Yeah,
um, do you want to expand on any more of those topics, or um, let's see, the topics on your,
yeah,
how do those come into being? They're
yeah.
really
I
good.
mean, yeah. So those Instagram videos, I produce for. I mean, I just want to serve and help people with where they're at. So with
Yeah,
their influence, with their leadership of their life. I mean, leadership is, maybe it's a form of leadership in a position, but it's also, we're leading our own lives. We're the leader of our own personal lives
yeah,
or our families. And
family.
so
Hmm.
leadership is formal and informal. So it's recognizing that. So I'm there putting those out just to help serve, to help become more influential in their leadership positions wherever they are. And the compliment a stranger game is something that was helping people become more influential. One of the aspects of being influential is likability. And likability is simply not about being nice. So likability is about how people feel when they're around us.
Yeah,
And so a compliment makes people feel great. When they feel genuinely complimented by something, they feel seen, they feel valued, they feel happy, and you're not doing it just to make them feel that way. You're just, I mean, as I've done that the last 3 or 4 days, every day, like, okay, what genuine compliment can I give them? They feel like, oh, somebody just saw me.
yeah,
Wow. So that compliment also, it builds my likability as an influential person, but also empowers them to do more of that, whatever that is.
yeah.
And now we all start benefiting from that. It
Hmm.
also builds my courage, because now I have to come out of my comfort zone to put that into the world that I just complimented this person, or they have to, I don't know this person. That's why it's a stranger. Compliment a stranger because I don't know them. They don't know me. But so do I have the courage and my self-confidence to get out of myself and to offer that to that person?
Right.
And so it builds on confidence, courage, empowering, and likability. All four of 7 things that help a person become influential. That's what I love about the game. So it's just like, and it's meant to be just fun. It doesn't take a lot of time. It takes like 2 minutes throughout my entire day.
Oh yeah, it's so much fun. I've done that in stores, like at the store before.
Yeah.
If, someone has a really cool coat on or something, I like
Mm-hmm.
your jacket, or I like your hair. And I really mean it, and
Yeah.
the smile that you get, that just makes my day, you know?
Exactly.
It's so much fun just to make
That's right.
people smile.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So I that's awesome. And I'm so happy about that. And
it's fun.
you asked about where I get the topics. I get topics simply because from my certification as an influence coach, a lot of it is born out of, so there's 7 characteristics that make an influential person. I mentioned 4: empowering, courage, confidence, likability, but also trustworthiness, passion, and commitment. So all those Instagram leadership minutes are building on one of those 7 things and helping us go deeper and stronger in one of those 7 areas, because we can all grow in that.
Yeah.
Influence is not about position. It is, but it isn't. It's not about, I'm a people person or not a people person. I'm not charismatic. Those are all, that's not the issue. All of us have these 7 characteristics in all of our lives. We can all grow in them. And
Yeah.
if we can all grow in them, we can all become influential. So I'm just helping people in a simple way, and in 1 minute to 3 minutes, grow in one of those 7 areas. So that's fun. That's what's behind it. So.
It is. It's so much fun. I encourage everyone to follow Mike on Instagram. I know we're going to get to that.
Well,
It's
thank
Mike
you, Lori.
Weaver, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Mike.Weaver917.
Okay. Okay. Mike.Weaver.
Mike.Weaver917.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. One more thing. We're going to wrap this up too, but one more thing too. How'd you come up with, I never asked this, 917 coach?
917?
Yeah.
So 917 is from verse 17. Very, very briefly. Acts chapter 9 is Saul's conversion, would later becoming Paul, the Apostle Paul. He's an incredibly great leader, focused, accomplished.
Talk about influence.
And influential as a person, but misguided, right?
Mm-hmm.
And God had even greater things in mind for Saul that Saul didn't really realize.
Mm-hmm.
So Acts chapter 9 is his conversion. He's knocked up a horse. He can't see. He can't eat for 3 days. Ananias, a disciple of Jesus, is in Damascus, and he's saying, God says, Ananias, go to Saul, pray for him.
Yeah.
Ananias does so reluctantly, but obediently, right?
Yeah.
And Ananias in verse 17 says, Brother Saul, which those 2 words themselves are remarkable words, because why would he consider him a brother?
Mm-hmm.
He's a persecutor.
Yeah.
But God changed Ananias' heart. Now they're together. Brother Saul, I'm here to restore your vision, to fill you with the Holy Spirit. And he prays for Saul. He lays his hands on him. And what God showed me was, as a coach, I'm an Ananias. That is, God asked me to walk alongside somebody for a period of time to help that person see what's possible, help them move into the direction God has in mind for them that's even greater than what they're doing right now, and empower and encourage them for the journey ahead. And that's what I do. So that's verse 17. I'm walking with somebody as a fellow journey or fellow pilgrim on this journey. Help that person move forward in the direction God wants them to go. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's X19.
Oh, that's wonderful. I never did know that. Anyone else? You know what, you guys, I can't see comments, so we can get to those when we're done. We can answer any questions you have or comments. But I think all of us in that our root group, I don't think any of us knew that. At least I didn't.
Oh yeah.
Um, and as a coach, that's what we do, right? We take, meet the person where they
Mhm.
are and help get them from A to B, help them reach their goals and see the
Mhm.
possibilities and be with them on that journey. It's
That's right.
Coaching's just amazing. I just love it. And I always feel like there's always room to improve and grow in our coaching as well to help
Oh
people.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a great service you're providing also.
Thanks.
Um, so just to close it out, is there any other tip you would like to leave us with, or inspiration or any other
Uh, yeah. I mean,
to thrive during this time?
two things. One, I think three things. First, we're stronger than we think.
Awesome.
Um, and in the world of improv, it's taking this and going, yes, this is the time we're in. And what's the next positive step for me to respond to that? Right?
Yeah.
So it's taking this situation. That's why I say when you first began this surviving to thriving, yes, and is a thriving framework.
Yeah.
We're co-creating something, and so yeah, okay, I'm in stay-at-home order, and what is in my ability to make it even more better than it was yesterday?
Yeah.
Right. So, and then the third thing, I just published a book this morning that people
You
can get
did?
for free. Yeah, just for free.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah,
great. I did not know
yeah.
that.
Yeah. So when you brought up the woman that touched the Jesus's
Yeah.
robe, that's the premise of the book.
Oh my gosh, that just came to
Right.
me.
I know. I'm like, you're saying that. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is the book. So basically, it's called Simple Prayer. It's daily prayer, one sentence at a time.
Oh, that's
And it's
awesome.
on Apple Books. It's being reviewed right now by Apple Books, so I'm not sure if it's live right now. But if people want to contact me, I'll send them PDF free. It's all free.
Oh, that's
It's
wonderful.
simply a brush with God can change the life of a person.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you touch on the robe, praying a prayer one sentence at a time. It doesn't have to be wordy. It's just one sentence.
That's right.
On meditating on that and letting God do what only God can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And honoring that prayer. So, yeah, so it's available as of today.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
I've even heard, just if you're in over your head, you don't know what's going on, just a simple help me, God.
exactly. That's right.
You don't
Yep.
know what else to say.
Mhm.
I've been there many, many times. Just help me, God,
Yep.
right? Yes,
That's right. It's
exactly.
about
I
the
love
heart.
it.
It's about the intent. Yeah, I mean, God honors the heart and again, the intent of what's
Yes,
behind it.
yeah.
And so, yeah. So so people, like I said, happy to share with anybody.
That's great. And so how can we follow you on social media? And we touched on that. And then how
Mhm.
can people contact you for
Yeah,
more?
so 917 Coaching, I think it's at 917 Coaching on Facebook. They just type in, and not the numbers, the spell it
It's
out,
spelled out, yeah.
917. Yeah. And then Instagram is mike.weaver917, the actual numbers. And then, I mean, anybody can feel free to email me, mike at 917coaching.com. Happy to entertain any conversation.
Yeah.
And there's some free resources on my website, 917coaching.com, that they can access. Complement a Stranger Game, influence some free training about influence and becoming influential as well. And that book, Simple Prayer, will be on the website as well for people to
Oh, good.
access.
That's awesome.
I'll get it done later today. So that's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
super. Do you have a newsletter or anything right now?
I'm going to have that
Okay.
soon.
Okay. No, that's what I just thought, that's great. Okay. I
Yeah.
know. Newsletters are a lot to keep up with as well.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, thank you so much, Mike. I am
Oh,
all
absolutely.
inspired for the rest of the day too. And thanks so much for being my first interview. And
You're welcome.
yeah, so we can check comments later, but thank you guys. Thanks everyone for joining me. And I think I'm looking at my calendar. I think the next one is on Wednesday. I'm going to also be here and there doing some wellness tips and some emotional eating, stress eating tips here and there as well. So we'll be on with that too. So we will see you guys. Have a blessed day, and thanks again,
Lori,
Mike.
I just want to say thank you to you. Thank you for having me. It's super fun to have this conversation with you. And everybody, check out what Lori's doing. Take advantage of that because Lori's doing great work with helping people emotionally eating. And just as you said, it's such an important topic, such you say.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank
Good
you.
stuff.
That was all right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks,
Hey,
Mike, so much.
see you, Lori.
We'll see ya. All right,
Take
bye.
care.